Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to open the meeting?
Motion. Seconded.
Okay, we have, James motions to open the meeting, Sam seconds, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Great, so, we have, two sets of minutes to approve tonight. I'd like to, not discuss the May sixth one. I think there's some changes to the format of that yet. Sorry, is there something?
No, stay. Yeah, because there might be a, yeah, thank you, sorry about that, Tom.
It's okay. So I think there need to be some structural changes to the May sixth meeting minutes, so I'll just take them off the table for tonight. We'll address them next time. But the May 15th, or April 15th minutes, has everybody had a chance to look at those? And was your change resolved? There was a comment that,
You know what, I didn't review the corrected. I did assume that they were on there.
I did have them here. I thought it looked corrected to me, but I just wanted to make sure. I think it's fine. So,
You saw my name on it instead of his, then we're good.
okay,
Yep.
yeah. All right, so, any other questions or comments on those minutes?
You're out. Okay.
All right, so I'll motion,
Okay, so we'll
motion
get,
to approve the April 15th.
Sam makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I didn't hear what you said to him. What's going on with,
On the April 15th minutes, it
Yep.
mentioned Kenny saying something, and it was me.
oh,
So
that's the amendment.
that was corrected.
I believe it was corrected.
It's, okay, I got you, sorry, go on.
I believe it was corrected, so I just wanted to confirm with him. So, do we have a second to approve those minutes?
Second.
Assuming that change was made.
I'll just condition it upon that anyway,
Okay,
so that's
thank
fine.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, both Bob and Trino abstained from that, they were here for that meeting. We have a couple of public hearings. There's no extensions or abandonments of applications, this round. They're public hearings. We're going to adjourn, 6 and 8 Gumwood, as they pursue some other avenues to remedy the problem. But we'll leave this open.
Yep.
It's a public hearing, still open. Is there anybody from the public here to comment on that project? Neil?
Just to remind, there's been some commentary already, the public hearing was open, just if, new commentary or things of that nature, I'm not trying to truncate people's things, just trying to, if there's new stuff you wanna add, Neil, then absolutely, or Mr. Healy or anybody in the public, but.
The answer is I'm not sure.
Okay, then let's give it a shot.
I have a question.
Sure, just your name and I know.
Sure, Neil Howard, Town of Goshen. The question I have is, have you received the comments from the DEC on these two properties?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not either, unless,
The DEC had some comments years ago, I'm gonna say, while I was working anyhow.
okay,
And part of that was that they were granting these two properties, actually we're looking at 3 properties in a row.
right,
And they granted a permission for them to encroach on the wetlands buffer. And they gave them a certain distance there, which obviously would have made building where our setbacks are impossible. However, they also, as part of that, said that they were gonna give that on 2 of the lots and not the 3rd one. The 3rd one was gonna be abandoned as buildable. So you probably should look at that prior to reaching any kind of decision, because that will have an impact.
Sure.
I don't know if the applicants would be allowed to merge those properties and make 2 out of the 3. I forget how the DEC wrote that out.
all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That's helpful.
We'll try and track that down.
Yeah, so, Frank, the building inspector, there is some, in the files, there is some documentation, as what Neil was referencing. I'll make sure that the board receives that.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, again, you know, they're seeking a variance from the road issue, not the buildability of the properties.
That's
So
my understanding.
That's the challenge here.
Yes.
So,
So, there, I know some folks who I met
Can I
there.
just ask one
Hang
question?
on, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, there's this protocol that goes on. So, just stand up, introduce yourself, and you can ask whatever question you want.
Okay, my name is Manita McKay, and I live on One Gumwood Drive. Now, I've been there for 50 years. Now, you're saying that they want a variance from what, the road?
The road is in the floodplain, which permits,
So is all of our homes in the floodplain.
the road specifically is
It is in a
is in the
floodplain,
floodplain,
yes.
but it's a,
So what do they wanna do? They wanna build past the road?
no, they wanna build along the road where it's, the road is not entirely in the floodplain as I understand it.
So they wanna build closer to the road, is that
No,
what you're saying?
the road has to be above the floodplain where they cannot build. That's
So
the
they wanna
way it's
raise the
written.
road?
No, they don't wanna raise the road, they want a variance, so they don't have to raise the road. So, that's what they're seeking. Right, is that,
That's my understanding of the code, yes.
yeah.
Does anybody else out of the, public wish to, comment or inquire, or any combination of the two?
Okay, so we'll adjourn this, we'll keep
Yep.
this open, public meeting open to the next,
I think, well, let's, what is, what's the,
or do we wanna close the public
well,
hearing?
I'm trying to look ahead just so we don't have a log jam.
Yeah,
And I don't want the public to have to come back every 2 weeks, so maybe, go to the, so June 17th would be our second meeting of June. That's 7:30 or soon their applicant can be heard. I'll give them another opportunity to attempt to do whatever alternative methods they are, and I will ask them to give enough lead time that if they're seeking another adjournment, that the public can be advised of that, so folks, aren't in the situation. If these things happen, I'm gonna apologize just for your time, but they happen, and they're out of the control, and it's not with any intent to waste your time. That's why we took your comments tonight. So I would adjourn out to that date. Well, I'll give them a 1-week buffer to it. If they want another adjournment, they've got to provide us at least a week's notice,
okay, and,
so it can be posted.
it's better to keep the public meeting open, or can we close the public meeting and not take a vote until they've resolved it, or?
I was asked for to adjourn it. I would feel uncomfortable. You guys could do that. I didn't. I think it should remain open. I think it's procedurally doesn't make much of a difference, because the folks here are just kind of coming into the fray. Give them an opportunity to maybe familiarize themselves with the application itself, which is available online if you all want to check it out, and also have the applicant be able to update us on what if anything they've done, and if there's something significant, the public may want to chime in on it. So I don't want to close it out. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
No, that's fair.
Okay. So
Yes,
that's
somebody else
we need a motion if there's no other commentary.
Sure.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, Holly Cobb. I live on 4 Gumwood.
I remember you. Yep.
You remember?
I do.
What is it they're looking to get a variance to stop the flood situation? Why can't there be a decision if it's set as a flood zone? You guys can't change that or make a ruling on it, can you?
Well, maybe we should explain a little to the public what the variance they're actually looking for, maybe, because it sounds like
What is
they're a
it?
little
Well,
confused on what
it's
it is.
it would be. You could do that if you wish. I mean, it's the
Well,
applicant's.
it's up to the chairman, but I mean, I think they have a misunderstanding of what they're looking for.
Well, just in, to distill it down is, you're not allowed to build homes where the road, the access to those properties is within the floodplain. They're
Oh,
looking
okay.
for a variance
The
from,
road.
they're looking for
Some-
relief from that.
And some of the confusion lies with commentary from One Gumwood is that when these homes were originally developed, that development was put in, that part of the code either didn't exist or the Army Corps and engineers hadn't moved the lines. So you could build there at that point. When the developer purchased all those lots and the like, you could. That has changed subsequent to the original building in the 60s or whenever the development was built. So now, properties that haven't been built on are restricted by the floodplain, and these properties happen to be in that. And so you have to get a variance from the town code, which was updated along with the rest of the regulations.
I assume if they did get the variance, they'd still have to get a site plan approval for any building
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they would propose to construct, right? So there would be another layer of approvals that would be needed before the homeowners, the property owners can
Is that
build
right?
a home.
No, thanks. You could clarify if that's something wrong.
I don't think that they have to go back to the planning board if you give the variance.
Oh, no, I meant, I thought you were shaking your head at mine, but I said.
Yours is all good, but I think the statement that they have to go back for a site plan
I defer to
approval.
the
I nodded
prior,
though, but I did
building
nod,
code.
so I was sort of agreeing
It's
with
back there.
Well, let me
I don't know.
clarify. So there's these overlay districts now, that's what triggered the planning board.
That's why, okay.
Okay, because of the overlay districts.
Right.
And the planning board kind of flagged it, said, hey, the road is in the floodplain, came to the ZBA, and that's what we're talking about.
So,
Yeah.
Do we need a motion?
yeah,
I think they're also gonna need a variance for the front yard setback, because if they comply with this DEC setback from the buffer, I think that it's gonna be way up front, there, so they may wanna look at that before they come back also.
I will relay that. Thanks, Neil.
On the road, yes.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, need a motion to adjourn the public hearing to, June, what,
17.
17th, thank you.
Switch, you can't turn it off.
Why can't I make a motion to not give it
So, do we have a motion to adjourn this to June 17th?
At 7:30 p.m.
7:30 or?
I make that motion.
We have Bob, we have a second. James seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, so items for discussion and action, we have 35 and 39 Everett Road, 22.2-1-10.2 and 2-1-6. The applicant requests an interpretation that 1 zoning code, section 9759B1 and 4 are applicable to and enforceable against the operations occurring at 39 Everett, and 2, zoning code section 9747F does not prohibit the application to and or enforcement of sections 97-59B1 and 4 of the zoning code as against 39 Everett, because under these circumstances, said applicant and or enforcement would not result in an unreasonable restriction of regulation of the farm operations at 39 Everett. That's a continuation of our last meeting. So do we need to, you're now switching in, right, Rob?
Yes, Robert Meta, here for the limited purpose of addressing this particular application. And where we last left off, I want to confirm whether we have closed that public hearing or whether we continue it for further discussion.
It's being continued.
It's being
Yeah,
continued.
I think
my
it's
understanding.
continued.
Okay, so then I welcome any further comments. Is anyone here to discuss that? Okay, and this, I believe it's applicant's counsel, forgive me.
Sure.
for- you-
Matt Behrens there in Steinmetz. Good evening, board members. Happy to restate our position and kind of summarize some of the key points I think from the last meeting. Again, what we're really simply asking for is just an interpretation from the board that these two very kind of clear-cut zoning provisions, one related to buffering of outdoor storage from adjoining properties, and one related to a prohibition on commercial vehicles in residential districts, which this is, and a 100-foot setback for farming-related commercial vehicles. All we're asking is for an interpretation that enforcing those provisions is not an unreasonable restriction on 39 Everett owners' farming operations. And that's, I think from the last meeting, my biggest takeaway was I don't think the neighbor at 39 Everett really provided any evidence that enforcement of those codes, whether moving a commercial vehicle, farm-related vehicle 150 feet back from the line would be unreasonable. I heard I don't want to do it from the neighbor. I don't feel like doing it. I'm not going to do it. What I didn't hear was it would be a unreasonable restriction on his legitimate farming operations. So that's our position. Happy to take any questions, or I know it doesn't sound like there's any more members of the public, but just to restate where we're at and what our position is.
what are the current, what's the current status of the equipment? Has it been moved, is it still there?
My understanding is nothing's been moved. I know the septic trucks had been moved a couple weeks prior, but there still are the other larger trailer trucks that are still there, and the chicken coop and some of the other miscellaneous outdoor storage has not been screened and are still, and were very kind of deliberately placed at that boundary line. So the stuff is still there, the trucks have not been moved.
Anything else from the public?
Why is this an application before the zoning board for an interpretation and not an Article 78 action?
Because
I mean, I'm asking.
Sure, to the
I'm not-
the Article 78 would come procedurally to the extent that the applicant was dissatisfied with this board's interpretation.
that's the next step.
Okay,
So.
wouldn't that, but like, okay.
Sure, so what
Why-
happens is.
why
They're
we-
procedurally in the right spot.
I-
Yeah.
you-
Right, but it's one of their
assumed we
options,
are.
it's one of their options.
Okay,
Because my understanding of the Article 78, the applicant has to exhaust administrative remedies, one of which would be going to the zoning board of appeals to challenge the interpretation of the public official here. It's the building inspector as to his enforcement of the code.
okay.
So, do we want to close the public hearing and hold the panel?
Do you have something to say?
I didn't realize it was a continued public hearing, but the only comment I have is that I think that obviously these two trailers are agricultural in use. They are agricultural, even though they're not registered agriculture, but that doesn't disqualify them from being agriculture. And obviously they're being used on a horse farm. That's my only comment.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I just respond to that just to keep it tied? So again, if it was found from the board that those vehicles are ag-related, then they just need to be enforced to a 150-foot setback. That's what the code says. So,
Unless 9747F applies.
unless it's found that it would be a reasonable restriction on farming operations, as we just, right.
And if I understood it correctly from May 6th, it was your client's position that by virtue of the size of the property, it would not create an unreasonable hardship.
Yes, and then the fact that the neighbor didn't offer any evidence besides, I don't want to, from moving it to 100, being compliant with the code. That's it.
Any other questions?
Am I mistaken that the code was 100 feet?
100 feet,
100 feet, not 150 feet?
I believe it's 100.
100, yeah.
Did I miss, is it 100?
I
Is
believe
that
it's
an
100
arbitrary?
feet, I could have,
It is.
Yeah.
100 feet.
Okay. Whatever the code says, it's in the provision.
So, if there's no more questions, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make the motion?
James, motions? I'm sorry, am I short circuiting you?
No, and, well, we can, that last provision, 9747F, understanding your position regarding the size of the property, I think we can agree that farmlands in general tend to be larger properties, right? Okay, so it wouldn't just be by itself, the size of the property that you're relying upon, otherwise we could agree that most farmlands would be potentially subject to otherwise this restriction that was clear to protect farmlands.
It's more than just the size, it's the fact that it's a truck. We're calling it some sophisticated farmer, we're talking about a farming operation truck. That can be moved, it has been moved. Moving it would not harm his operations, it wouldn't financially be detrimental, it's not like we're moving infrastructure of some legitimate farming apparatus that has to be at that place or it's been at that place. It can be moved. So to me, I fail to see what would be unreasonable about enforcing whatever the code setback requirements here are.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Sorry,
I have nothing further for me unless the board has anything.
So I made a motion to close the public hearing.
We have a second?
I second it.
Bob seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And do we have
You
a
okay, are
motion?
you satisfied?
Yeah, I agree to close it.
Okay, I didn't wanna cut you off if you had more to say,
No.
sorry.
And is there a motion to, vote this time?
Do you have a motion for
I'm happy to, I'll make the motion to vote, yeah.
motion? Do we have a second?
Second it.
And
Bob
then-
seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sam, you're reluctant again, are you okay? Everything-
I'm just, trying to navigate the issues and figure out,
You can close it, not, you don't have to vote from a procedural standpoint if you need to
If you need
contemplate.
more time to think, I'm not trying to rush this.
And in the town code, I'll just remind that it's, for the interpretation, it could be reverse, modify, affirm, but it could be modified in whole or in part of the interpretation.
okay.
I
I
think this
do
is a
think
this is a complicated matter, it seems simple, but it's not. And if you wanna hold this off, if you feel strongly you wanna think about this for another 2 weeks, I'm okay with that.
I would, for my own sake. And so if that has the implication on the board that we would push the vote out 2 more weeks, I apologize, but I do want to look at the issues a little bit more before I feel comfortable voting on it.
You guys comfortable with the vote till next time?
Yeah, I think I appreciate his opinion on this, and, I can respect that, so I agree that that'll be fine.
Okay, so,
We can do the 2 weeks.
so can we, and I know that's
Thank you.
a hardship on you, because you're coming in just for this.
I'd rather have the board make an
Appreciate
informed,
that.
full decision, no one's rushing.
So do we just know we just.
You close the public hearing and you're just
Close
adjourning the
public hearing,
matter.
We'll adjourn the matter to the next meeting, which would be, 6/17, right? It's the,
No, it'd be the third.
June
The third.
6th.
June the third?
Council, that's okay with you?
Yes.
Need a motion for that?
Yeah.
we need a motion for that? Can we,
Yeah,
adjourn the meeting till June 3rd?
I make the motion to adjourn until June third.
Second. 10 seconds, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you again.
Thank you guys, nice time.
That's good, no, I think, I'd rather we think about this stuff and not rush it, that's good.
Yeah, I have 5 o'clock.
Right.
I was online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just want to make sure that we have that procedure. Yes,
Draft decision, right?
yeah, we're on,
The next item is 3 Valley View Road, 17-2-56. The applicant submitted a site plan that depicts a 14 by 20 shed with an 18-foot yard setback. The minimum requirement is 30-foot minimum. Applicant is seeking an area variance for the encroachment. We have a draft decision that was circulated.
which one are you on, Tom? I'm sorry, for you?
3 Valley View Road.
Okay, I'm gonna just open up the decision for any potential edits, that may exist, okay? Just give me one moment.
We'll all recall that was the one that, the pavilion that was erroneously built within the buffer, where he thought his property line was further away than it was, he did it without a survey. So, we drafted a decision which I believe is gonna allow that to move through.
So the shed is constructed already on the property?
Yes.
On a cement slab or just
Yes,
on
on
dirt?
the cement slab. Yeah,
I wasn't for the follow-up conversations, but our point was, he thought the trees were his property line.
yes, that's exactly it.
And it wasn't, the neighbor agreed with him that he thought so too.
He thought too.
He thought so too, but then they found out that it wasn't. Just so, well, I haven't been here for the other discussion.
That's
I
pretty much
remember
it.
that.
No, I got it right here.
Does anybody, well, I think we'd
Okay.
already voted to approve the variance, we just needed to sign the approve the.
You just gotta approve the written decision, and if there's some misrepresentation or, grammatical or anything, this is taken directly from the minutes and,
Right. I didn't see anything in the decision that would prevent us
Okay.
from signing it.
So this is a thought I was on vacation, I have to abstain myself.
Yes.
I'll tell you who voted, just so we can, it was Burnham, Banghart, Barrett, Bergson, Farfalla. So, no Trino.
A lot of bees.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of.
So no Trino, it's the dais from Sam down.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't.
Oh, my, 5 months ago, 5, 6.
3 or 4 anyways, long time, yeah.
Yeah, but it dates back to February. We had an issue with the minutes. There was a problem with the recording initially, but we got it to be clarified, so there was a lag in the minutes.
Yeah, so, I'm okay with approving that decision, so we just take a vote on that?
Yeah, just get a motion to adopt the decision and allow you to sign it.
So moved.
Just move, a second?
I'll second.
Ken seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Okay,
okay.
all right, and then we're on to renew, right?
Yep, same thing here with 349 Maple Avenue / Renew LLC 19-1-77. Applicant is appealing a notice of violation issued April 27, 2023 for unpermitted use. The applicant is requesting an interpretation that the permitted or special permit proposal can occur. The applicant will also seek an area variance to reduce the minimum lot from 3 to 5 acres to 2.8 if deemed necessary to draft decision.
I'm just trying to open it.
Yep.
I'm having a little internet issue here, but why don't you talk?
So I had just one minor and one maybe more substantial edit to that decision. On the first page, under the preliminary statement, an existing truck company, it was an existing trucking company. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure that was
Yeah,
clear.
no, that's gonna be a difference there, for sure.
And also,
Which paragraph, what is it, how many paragraphs into
it's the
preliminary
first
statement?
paragraph under preliminary statement. It's the end of the
Yep, got it.
third full line.
All right, noted.
Also in the discussion though, we discussed that not granting this variance could lead to further undesirable changes.
That worded improperly.
That would have had greater consequences if we had allowed them to do what they,
To do the
to
alternative.
do the alternative.
Right, let me just find, what page number are you on?
I think it would be somewhere in
The reasoning,
the
right? So,
reasoning, which it starts on page 3, and it flows over to page 4.
yeah,
Um,
where's James?
It's really in page 4, somewhere in there, it could just needs to be inserted. Maybe down in the paragraph that begins with additionally. Where it was substantial, I'm not sure exactly where to put that, but
I recall it from the minutes, and it read sort of contradictory to each other, so I didn't put it in. I recall the statement, I think it was made by Mr. Barrett. Can you articulate it again, because when you said it just before, it sounded different than, but,
I think we were just saying that not granting this variance could lead to undesirable changes that would have greater consequences for the neighborhood and the,
because if the variance isn't granted, they have the alternative approach, more trucks, larger property.
Right.
Okay.
And this was a way of reducing the impact of that kind of operation that's not permitted there, typically.
Okay, so if you choose to adopt the decision, it would be adopted with the condition that that clause be placed in the undesirable change factor. Okay, I'm just gonna put it at the back end of that paragraph before the conclusions that the variance requested would not alter the character, because it's adopting that caveat that if it didn't, there would be more of an undesirable
Yes,
change.
exactly,
Okay, yeah, understood.
okay?
So,
So can we get a motion to approve that decision with those changes included?
you can push.
So moved. Second.
James seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. That's that.
So we have 2 Jessica Court, which is an initial presentation. It's 2 Jessica Court, 11-3-23. Applicant submitted a site plan that depicts a 15 by 20 by 20-foot 3-inch pavilion with a 10-foot side yard setback where the requirement is 30-foot minimum. Applicant is seeking area variance for the encroachment. So do we have anybody from that project here to speak on it?
Hi, good evening, board. Thank you so much for having us. Mario Jimenez. We reside at 2 Justice Court, Goshen, New York. So we are requesting a variance for a gazebo that we reconstructed earlier this year. Back on 2022, September 26th, we were issued a permit for a previous gazebo that we had built. Actually, it was assembled because it was one that was purchased at Sam's Club. And unfortunately, last year there was a bad storm, and one of our neighbor's tree fell on the gazebo and destroyed it, which was a financial constraint on us. Previous to that, before we constructed or built the gazebo there, 2021, we expressed to our neighbors that some of those trees were already dying out, and if they would wish to remove it or cut them down, they basically said no. But just fast forward, we decided since once the tree fell on the gazebo last year, we waited till this year. My thought process, honestly, was since we already have a permit to have that gazebo, we have permission to have the gazebo there. What I said was to myself, I said, I'm just gonna rebuild it, but just make it stronger, sturdier for in case something happens, it's not just gonna be destroyed. So I was under the impression that having the permit for that existing one that I had, I was able to redo it again.
Yeah, so we basically rebuilt the gazebo in the same location, but we did a wooden pavilion instead, and then we learned thereafter that we needed a new permit for that, which we were unaware of. So we're here to present that because obviously this is a permanent structure. We can't just remove it where it is currently. So we're asking to have the 20 feet variance for where it is. But we already had a permit, and the other gazebo was in the same location.
Correct. If you guys look at your packet that I put, this is the picture of the previous one. It was made out of, let's say, aluminum, and it was assembled, basically, with just screwing it together. The second picture is just a closer one. The third picture is a picture of when the tree fell on top of it and destroyed it, basically. The fourth page is the actual permit that we received for the gazebo that actually fell down. And the fifth page is how it looks today, how I basically rebuilt it to look like this. So it's the same similar structure. It actually is on our property. It's leaning towards our side of the yard. So, but this is the way it looks today.
Was that permit ever closed?
I believe so. Yes.
The original permit was closed, yes.
And the slab was always there?
Yeah, everything is existing.
Everything is the same.
Yeah, so the original permit was a kit, just like the parcel owners were stating, assembled on site, aluminum. What they built after is structurally significantly different. But first one, basically, we screwed it to the ground with some bolts, right?
Same, and it's in the
Correct.
same foundation.
Yeah.
So yes, so that one, since it's aluminum, it comes in like almost 1,000 pieces, so it has a lot of screws and you bolt it to the floor. But
the footings are the same.
yeah, the footings, everything that was there is still the same. And that's actually one of the reasons why I felt the tree, when it landed, it just leaned it forward, and the aluminum footing of it, it just went forward. So it didn't really hold it.
We also did have an architect, is that part of their packet?
Ye-
We had an
yes.
Can you just
architect.
speak up? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Part of the packet, we also included an architect,
So there's an engineer,
Yeah.
an engineering, so for this one, the town had requested for me to get an engineer to make sure that this is a safe structure. So I believe the 5th page is the letter, that I paid for in order for an engineer to go and double check the structure, how it was built. Is it sufficient with the snow capacity and the wind capacity of the town of Goshen? Would it withstand any of those conditions?
So, it's a hurricane clips and everything, eh?
yeah, and that was also, added to them.
So, Frank, with regard to the setback, they'd already been given a variance to put that there. And the issue is that this is a more substantial structure than what was there.
The issue is, so the first one was installed without a permit, so we had to catch up, we call it an after-the-fact permit.
Okay.
And I look back in the file, it wasn't clear about the size. So if a structure is 200 square feet or less, you could go 10 feet to the property line. This one that's built without a permit, again, the application came in with the size over the 200 square feet, triggering
Okay.
the
By how
setback.
much, Frank? How many square feet over 200?
So, it's coming in, it's 14 by 20, I did the math right before the meeting, quick math, 280 square feet, right? 280 square feet.
So nearly 50%.
That's not,
That's not huge, but,
that's not.
but it is, percentage-wise, it's considerable.
Yeah, it is, but it's not that much difference.
And it's on the same footprint.
What was the dimensions of the original?
40%.
It was 12 by 20, and this is 15 by 20.
Okay.
And I just wanna add, I know that Frank is mentioning that the first one was made or it was done without a permit, there's a reasoning for that. So when I was not aware that I needed a permit to do something that was not attached to my dwelling. So when I received notice from the town that I needed a permit to do that, I went online and I did check the town of Goshen permits. What would I need a permit for? One of them, and I remember having a conversation with Frank about this, was it states if it's not attached to your permanent dwelling, you do not need a permit. And this was, at that time, that was not a permanent structure, because I could have easily unassembled that and put it somewhere else. This one is a permanent structure, because now it is. So what I explained to Frank at that time was, well, this is not a permanent structure and it's not attached to my dwelling. So I wasn't, I didn't know that I would need a permit for that. Frank went on to tell me that anything, I guess that is anything over 8 feet tall would require a permit. So then that's when I set up and I got the permit for that one. So he awarded the permit at that time.
Yeah, so, I don't wanna get into the weeds of how we got here, it's basically a setback concern. But nevertheless, these are accessory structures, there's a whole chapter on accessory structures in the zoning regulations, yeah.
Just to be clear, there's a foundation underneath it for both the first structure and this structure is the same foundation? The same cement slab? or
Using the
whatever?
same footprint.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the cementing that's permanent was there for the first one that kinda got there, and for the second one that kinda got there, okay?
Yes.
So to make sure everybody understands that because the other one wasn't a permanent structure, 10 feet was within our zone.
Right.
Now that it's a permanent, we need 30 feet.
No, the first one would have triggered 30 feet as well, because of the size that was stated. When the application came in, I don't even think there was a size on there.
Oh.
We kinda like discretionary, let's get it done, the thing was up already, it was an aluminum kit,
Right,
worst case scenario, let's move it over a little bit. So
right,
that's,
okay.
Neighbors ever have any issues?
I was
with-
gonna say,
with the-
what we're looking at in this picture, I'm sorry, Sam. What we're looking at is towards your neighbor's yard, I presume?
Correct, yes.
Their issue it's not that, their issue is, it comes from before that, basically the way our property's set up, we're up on a hill, and they're a little bit lower, so they feel that water goes into their yard. I think Frank is aware of that because they were constantly calling Frank, and I think Frank also had to express to them that there was nothing wrong with, it was just the lay of where
The land.
the lay of the land, basically. But other than that, it doesn't obstruct any views or anything. It's on our property.
So nothing specifically about the rebuilt?
No,
No.
That's the
No.
question.
no.
No, that has nothing to do with the rebuild, no.
Okay, well, guess the next would be moving to a public hearing, correct?
Yeah, is there any other information that you want them to gather in the meantime, or anything that would assist you guys?
No,
I don't
no,
think so.
pretty straightforward.
Okay, so,
So we have a motion to set up a public hearing, which would be is that the June 17th? Is that gonna be
you could pick either one. I mean, right now, there's one item on each agenda. We have
It's June 17th, it's not,
that's Gumwood. That's Gumwood.
but that's
It's not 30 days, is that?
that's not 30 days is my point.
Oh, well,
I think we'd have to go out.
well, would this require a 239?
Yeah, I spoke to Grace this afternoon, she was working on 239 for, today's coming.
Hang on, guys, hang on. Sorry, just for the
Yeah.
clarity of the,
On the safe side,
we send it.
we send it, and I think Grace is working on it, so just keep that in mind with the dates.
So let's go 3 meetings out then,
They got 30 days to respond.
time for
I have no issue with that.
239.
So that would go to
Public notice.
July, well, it's the first, it'll be July 1st. You wanna be doing, well, that first meeting is for a week of 4th of July. Is that gonna work for everybody?
That's a Tuesday, it's the
Yeah.
first?
That's the first, right?
Yeah, Tuesday's the first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, so can you just say, we're not familiar with this process.
So
yeah.
the next step in this is, there's a public hearing that's required, and there has to be 30 days notice to the public, plus there's another piece.
Doesn't have to be 30 days notice to the public, it's that the county has 30 days
County
to
has to-
reply.
sorry, county has 30
Um,
days to reply.
So the process will be, the building department will help you with the process. There's a notice provision where you have to send out to a certain radius of neighbors that could be affected by any decision that happens. And we have to get, the county has an opportunity to chime in, should they see fit, as to granting such a variance and what impact it could have either down the line from a precedent end or impact specifically. So generally, we put it out 30 days. This meeting, if we go to the June 17th, is not 30 days. We could have the whole public here, you guys back here, and not be able to do anything. Generally, wanna go past that, just for, to make sure we're good. It has no one's gonna do anything to the gazebo in the meantime, right? That's already up, so.
It's still
not gonna
there.
come-
It's not like we're stopping you by our procedures.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do with the gazebo either. Not only is this for my family, I just can't demolish it.
No,
It costs us a significant amount.
That will be a factor involved in the group's decision. The public hearing is to allow, this neighbor to articulate their voice the same way you would want, if you were the other end of it, right? So it's just procedure. Put it on July 1st date. The building department will give you the information necessary for you to meet your, requirements for notice to the neighbors and.
Yeah, I would say if you reach out to Grace, maybe tomorrow or sometime this week, we have to go over the mailings, she'll explain it to you. Like council said, letters have to go out to the neighboring parcels.
So is the decision based on one neighbor? Because obviously we know
No,
that.
it's based on the totality of all
Okay.
of everything, and all the neighbors around you that can all chime in. It's not just the one. And there's a whole series of factors we have to consider. But in the meantime, we need to hear from anybody who's affected, so that we can
Potentially, yeah.
make
So
a
I will, when you reach out to Grace, she can give you my information also. I can provide you the factors that the board would rely upon. So when you come back, you know, when it comes to that stuff and before the public hearing is closed, if you wanna speak on any of those factors and how it, you know, may impact, other residents or how it impacts you guys, like you said, the financial hardship and the like, so. You'll have your opportunity to speak on it again. This is an initial presentation, you guys did fine, so just, I would say motion to, for this to go to a public hearing on July
Just,
first.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry, Trina.
we ask the neighbors for their opinions. We don't know everything that goes on in every situation, right? We know what the rules are and the laws. But someone can't come in here necessarily and stop the whole thing, but we wanna know, what do they think about the change
Yeah.
that you wanna make or have made?
Yeah, and it may not be, honestly, it could be, Mr. Healy is not your next door neighbor, he wouldn't be noticed probably based off the notice provisions that would satisfy for you guys, but he may chime in and say, you know, as a resident of Goshen, here's my opinion, and that could also carry weight. So, there's a whole litany of things that can occur, what's in your control, you guys are doing fine.
This is just the process we have to go through.
No, thank you, we appreciate it.
We'll make sure, like, if you're not represented by council, we're not gonna, like, we're gonna try to carry you along so the decision's made on the merits, you know? It's trying to extract them out of you and make sure that you hit all the marks so they can make an informed decision. It's not like, you may feel disadvantaged that you don't know the process, but we'll make sure that you're hitting everything.
Right, no, we appreciate that,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care, guys. Good evening. So, did you adjourn to the, motion to adjourn?
First, we need a motion to adjourn to it first.
I'll
For a public hearing.
adjourn the meeting for the 1st of July.
For a public hearing.
Public hearing.
At 7:30 PM.
Trina seconds, all in favor?
Gotta get
Aye.
back into the
Aye.
flow.
Trino, I'm gonna have you sit over here. Do I have to move you?
Just get back into the flow, I haven't been here for a long
I
time.
know.
I called up Grace and he says, hi, my name's Trino Ken, I used to be on the board.
We're glad to have you back.
Thank you, sir, thank you.
The next item is Gotham Properties, formerly known as Aurora Innovations, 24-1-108.2 and 100, 112 and 113. This application consists of 4 parcels being reconfigured into 3, therefore to find a 288 variance and a front yard variance. This application consists of 117.35 acres on Pulaski Highway, County Route 6, in the agricultural industrial AI district, within HQ6 and floodplain and ponding overlay district. So this is the initial presentation.
Good evening, I'm Vince Peterzak. Tonight I'm with Michael Bluestein. The other thing that wasn't mentioned is that there is a private road which dissects the property, Sleepy Hollow Road. I sent in some color drawings which show the 4 lots as well as the after 3 lots which are being considered. Your blue area is where the old landing strip and the cell tower currently is. 112 being the largest piece is where the Aurora dirt packing facility is, and it's actually located on a small portion of property to the south of Sleepy Hollow Road, which is the blue coming in off of Pulaski Highway. There's a landlocked piece sitting in the back, which is magenta, which we would be combining with the blue 113. 112, which is the largest portion, is going to be reduced down in size to include the black dirt area to the north of Sleepy Hollow Road, as well as the dirt packing facility on the south. Lot 108.2, which is the green, which is along Pulaski Highway, has easements over 112 from the green area out to the blue, which is Sleepy Hollow Road. The Aurora Innovations property is being sold, the facility has been closed, and when...
Aurora Innovations is the dirt packing, or?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. They own all of the property except the green piece, 108.2.
Okay.
When the owners of 108.2 found out that it was being sold, they want to buy the property that they have the easements over in fee. That's what leads us to the 280A variance, because we're getting rid of the frontage on 112, but 112 accesses their property through the blue piece over Sleepy Hollow Road, which is a private road. The variance for the setback is for the old hangar from the airplane landing area in the rear. It's too close to the property line.
So, I'm trying to figure, what exactly are they trying to accomplish with this,
They're getting rid of the landlocked parcel,
right? That's 100, right?
and they're combining the excess land from 112 that's not part of the dirt packing facility
Yeah,
to the other parcels, to the other two parcels.
okay. So, I'm not seeing the colored one, so I'm kind of looking at what you were looking at, and,
We don't have that one, do we?
yeah, I don't have the colored.
I apologize, it was supposed to be included with the submission.
So, these two properties remain the same, there's a right of way through it.
Correct.
This property is now combined between these two, so you're subdividing a portion of this off.
Yep.
Combining with that.
Yep.
These two remain the way they were, but now reconfigured.
And the
And
front part of
the front part-
112 goes to the green, the section that they have existing easements
So it's
over.
going from here to here.
Yes,
Yeah,
taking 4 lots and making it 3
Right.
So the other buyer is buying that additional land.
in fee.
and this, the buyer has an easement, an existing easement over everything they don't own. They own the green, right?
They own that green down below.
This green.
And they have an easement over the 112 out
Okay.
to the road.
Okay,
So this easement, the property
Oh,
they be
here.
acquiring, they have an easement over that.
okay.
Now they don't need the easement anymore because now
So they're gonna buy it outright,
Correct.
No more easement.
right?
And the hangar again is where?
The hangar's up in back here behind the cell tower on the blue.
Okay.
Yeah. Go here.
Yeah, up higher.
So the only variance you're looking for is to allow that hangar to not be in violation.
And for the 280A, the frontage on 112, well, all the access to 112 at the facility in operation is through Sleepy Hollow, the private road, which is the blue.
So they're looking for access from Pulaski?
No, the green has access from Pulaski
Right.
onto the site. They're looking at acquiring the property they have the
So
easement
the
over.
280A is just for the road easement, that it doesn't have enough? Or what, I'm
No.
confused about what that's.
The
what we're trying to
280A, we're getting rid of the frontage for 112,
Oh, okay,
because 112 is accessing it over Sleepy Hollow, which is the blue.
okay, now I understand, yeah, okay,
Which is a substantial road going back that's used by tractor trailers.
You see his hand? Yeah.
okay.
Trino, you see his, Trino?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And the intent is for what, what are they intending to accomplish beyond just consolidating these parcels and,
Well, they're looking to sell the facility,
okay.
the dirt
And-
packing facility.
And that would be in this section?
Yes, it would be on the south side. The north side is all black dirt, which is being included with it.
Okay. And when you say dirt packing, what does that mean exactly, so we're all clear?
The Aurora facility would take in different items such as coconut husk, back droppings, and other items and mixing it to specialty dirt, packaging it in bags and selling it.
Like an organic type, operation, or?
I'm not sure if it's all organic, but they
It's a
take,
compost type, combination
It's
into?
fertilizer of some sort, it sounds like.
well, they mix fertilizer in certain aspects also. They were doing all different kinds of dirt for different types of products.
Frank, that's a permitted use there?
The Aurora it went through the planning board, it was an approved use, yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to check. Okay. So that,
Understand.
I don't know if I have other questions right now. You guys have more questions on it?
Seems pretty
Okay.
dry.
I guess the next thing we need to do is schedule a public hearing, or, sorry.
I'm just trying to, like, what was when the property was originally subdivided and this,
The
24 1, like the land, the parcel that was land, like, you know, not accessible, was that, was there any purpose for that lot? Like, with the hangar and whatever was going on back there, was it previously?
It's just a
landing?
wooded piece of property.
Okay.
But it had access via the easement. It wasn't totally landlocked.
Well, it doesn't have a written easement.
Oh,
I would assume it had an easement either off of, Sleepy Hollow Road back to it.
Right. But there was no like,
There's no roads or
special,
anything.
there was
going
nothing
to it.
special going on?
Just completely wooded.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Wait, I understand it. This strip here, that used to be a landing, a strip where, I guess, planes, is now wooded?
No. The rear landlocked piece is all wooded.
that's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
the
they
landing
still
strip-
use this as a landing strip for planes or not?
Not anymore. It used to be when they were spraying the black trees.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's a cell tower in this area, right?
Correct, right in front of the
Remember
hangar.
that? We did a cell tower maybe about,
Right there.
5 years ago.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
good.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, they got variances also, which are noted on that line.
Okay.
All right,
And there's no plan to develop any of this wooded area?
No.
It's being made into a bigger wooded parcel?
Correct.
And the parcels basically now represent the use of the land more appropriately?
Well, it makes actually the land more usable.
Right,
For the
right.
future, correct.
Yeah, I don't know, any other questions?
okay. So,
Next.
Ken, do you have anything? Okay. So I guess the next thing is we need to set up a public hearing. Frank, does this, what's the meeting, the county does it?
Also July first.
I would say, I think a 280, 280 is gonna have to.
Okay,
There are exceptions, but you should bear,
okay, so,
Yeah.
so we're looking
It's
at
on
July
county.
1st as well.
you, any opinion on that, Mike? That it's gotta go, the county 239,
It's also up on,
I would imagine it does, based on where the location of this property and the 280 would, off my,
well, I'm also thinking Pulaski Highway is
yeah, that's what,
Okay,
just the proximity to county roads would
Okay.
put them in,
I think we had a 280 in the past in front of this board, I think we did 239 for that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
okay. Can-
Yes.
And
In
that
fact, I'll
was-
make sure everybody gets copies.
Yeah, we should send them.
That's a little bit clearer than.
Yes, I apologize, I thought.
We like color.
Me too.
We all did good in kindergarten.
None of us are colorblind.
We're gonna set,
Yes.
yeah, July, so you wanna do July 1?
July first?
That would put you,
That would give us enough time.
that's out, cause the prior meeting is 27 days, and we could get stuck on that 3 days. It's happened enough times that now it's like,
Okay.
alright,
So,
Thank you.
Spence, if you, contact Grace for the mailings?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Alright,
Do we
just
have
make a motion, guys.
for to move this?
I make that motion to have this public meeting on July first?
At 7:30 or soon thereafter, right?
Yeah.
Second, James seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Whatever, same time.
Thank you.
Okay, there's one more.
Yeah, the last thing is 2 Fairway Drive, Empire Solar, 5-1-89. Applicant is seeking to have ground mounted solar installed and is requesting 2 variances. Front yard usage, the home is on a corner lot and the array size will exceeds the allowable square footage of 1,250 on a 2-acre lot, proposing a 1,360 square foot array.
So, Tom, just, this is kind of a collaboration, but my understanding, consensus was that we needed to move on this one way or another. And time was getting stale enough where it was almost like an initial application again. And,
Yes.
so, we're looking for updates, kind of a recap, I think everybody understands generally, but a recap, the reasoning, and then we've gotta move towards, going to a public hearing, likely after this, unless there's some significant change that would alter that, but that's your understanding of what we're doing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just wanna make sure, alright,
So, and we do have some additional information, they've given us some billing stuff, which we had asked for.
yep.
And some other stuff in the meantime, I have all that here, if anybody wants to look at it.
So if there's questions on that, I'd fire them off, since there's only one member of the public, and I think he's keenly aware of this project. I'd ask any questions related to the new data, then just get it to a public hearing. And then any questions from the public about the application, the applicant can just kind of recap there, as opposed to recapping to a group that knows what it is.
Yeah.
That's all.
I just wanna note a typo that I'm reading the code verbatim and I'm looking at the agenda description. So the 1,250 square footage, the code actually says 1,200.
200? Okay, thank you.
You know what's funny, I think, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
that was pointed out and we caught it once, we corrected it, and then we resubmitted, we must have
Okay.
submitted our, but I do vaguely remember that being pointed out, yeah, you are correct.
Okay. So besides the data, which appreciate, and now you have more of it, because some time's gone by, so there's a little bit of a cross-section of winter, summer, spring, and whatnot, that application's been there that long. Is there anything else that is worth adding to, knowing that we're gonna be going to a public hearing in the next month or so? Is there anything you wanna add besides that?
Well, I brought Bill, I wasn't sure if you guys did get a.
Yeah.
The bills.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant by data, the bills,
Yeah.
the usage data and the
So
like.
basically, just to summarize it, if you didn't go through like actually add it all up, all that basically adds up to is between September 2023 to September 2024, the homeowners' usage, total usage in their house was 35,370 kilowatt hours, which is the reasoning behind the large system, of course. This system totals out to not even the full production, but 26,671. So this is as big as we can get it without what we consider, while we consider still remaining in like aesthetic, appeal and not really having to go too crazy. But that's like what the bills and all that information adds up to.
All right, I think what was really important for the board to hear is to finally come out with what is causing the extreme usage of electricity. I think that was what we've all been kind of eagerly waiting to kind of put all of this together.
Yeah, I mean, utility companies don't break down the specifics in their usage.
Well, no, you're looking for a variance that's, I don't want to give an opinion on that, but it's really important for the board to understand
What the driver of this.
Yeah, these are circumstances that are different than just, I use a lot of electricity. I
Yeah.
think it's really important for us to know what that is in order to help us.
There's a concern, so it's a quasi-judicial board, so they make a decision, right? And let's say that we don't have the reasoning behind it, give the thumbs up, right? Next person comes in, yeah, I got an extremely high bill, I wanna put solar panels everywhere in my house, right? And it's an exaggeration for the purpose of illustration, but that's the concern here is always, there's gotta be outliers, something that's cookie cutter precedent sets, we're gonna have everybody in here running through. Variance is supposed to be specific to an outlier to a certain extent, so high usage, I think what you're getting feedback on is probably not an outlier enough, and they want some reasoning why there's a high usage, what makes this different from someone just, really enjoys their stuff at the house, and so I think that's what the board's looking for. I've kinda indicated that to you offline, without being respectful to applicants' situation, but if it's not gonna be, it doesn't need to be some big reveal, there's just been no data supporting that, and I think that's kinda where the roadblock is a little bit.
No, understood.
And I don't mean data like the usage is the start, the why the usage is the second part, it's a two-part thing. So.
Yeah, no, and I totally understand that. What I was gonna say was like, the utility company, they don't break down, they don't give you specifics like what appliances are specifically breaking down.
No,
But
why is the usage so high, not which thing in the house, I think it's pretty straightforward without me even looking at data. That's an abnormally large use, which is why they're going to solar, because they can't afford it on the traditional end or it's too expensive. That was part of your presentation. That's part of the reason for your company.
No.
So the point is, not, we got, the second part of the analysis is why is it so high?
What's driving it? What's the
Yeah.
cause of it? I mean, when I look at it, a huge spike in the summer, it's high all the time, but a huge spike in the summer, is it just because they like their pool at 950 degrees?
Yeah.
Or what is it, you know, or do they like their house at 50 degrees and they're running the air conditioning at some ridiculous temperature? And if you can explain what's driving this usage, which is abnormal, frankly, what mitigations have they taken, you know, is it, that are reasonable, because as we all know, conservation is cheaper than energy production. So are we chasing our tails here by, and actually doing them a disservice?
Do you know?
Well, yeah, I was getting to it,
Okay,
but.
yeah, let's have it, 'cause-
Yeah, a lot of it is just medical equipment. So like they have a lot of, like, they have a
Well,
heated pool.
that's not, medical equipment is not seasonal.
Well, they have a heated pool, which like, for medical reasons, like they need it for, you know, their body. So like they're constantly using stuff like that, physical therapy equipment, like they have things in their house that are drawing a higher typical amount of energy. So that's like basically what it boils down to.
They're not running a business in the house, are they?
No, not like anything like that.
We're gonna need to know more. I'm just telling you, like, if there's gonna be, I don't even know where to go with this at this point.
Well, it's just the concern, I'm trying, you may have enough, potentially, theoretically, but the job's gotta be finished on it, because if someone just comes in here and says it's for X, Y, and Z usage, like, it's gotta be supported.
Yeah.
It's not
We're not
like, no
trying
one
to
doesn't
pry.
believe you or anything, I mean,
We
it
need
makes
to
sense, but it's gotta be supported by documentation. What makes this different than someone else? So they chose to go here for the physical therapy as opposed to going out for their physical therapy. That's a factor in the variances. Is it a self-created harm? Right? Now, the medical conditions maybe not self-created, but the choice to do rehab at home is self-created. Maybe not. But if you leave it out, sorry, Sam, you can finish the job if you want on it.
Go, you go.
No, it's just, it's if you have the burden. All right, so unanswered questions are gonna probably be held against you in that burden, right? So the board has been pretty clear. We wanted data to show that the usage is up and see that it's seasonal, non-seasonal, whatever, and then why.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so go ahead, Sam.
And just even to like take it to another, like, if medical costs are the reason, I have the highest degree of sympathy, but the medical condition in the household that is exacerbating these energy costs might be something that lasts several years. That solar panel that might be there is gonna be there when the costs come back down, and that panel is not going anywhere. Can you speak to, like, if that's, can you speak to that? I mean, why, like, you're coming us telling us that for a moment in time, there's gonna be higher costs. It's not gonna be permanent. And so would that justify us putting a permanent rule change on the property that would allow you to
Yeah.
put a larger solar panel? That's something in addition that I'm considering. Like, even if the data gets us to that threshold,
Yeah.
I still have to get there.
I mean,
Because
do they have, how do they perform their physical therapy that's utilized in the pool in the summer? How do they complete that the other 8 months of the year? Is that off-site? Is it not needed? Is there another variation they utilize?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's,
Well, I know that they also have, if I'm not mistaken, they have like a master bathroom, like jacuzzi, which the alternative time of the year, like when they can't actually utilize their pool, then they use the jacuzzi. But it's not like a medical condition, so like, the homeowner has MS, so it's not like a medical condition that's gonna like go away, like, it's pretty permanent, you know?
I understand.
Yeah.
Are they gonna speak to the board directly?
I mean, like theoretically, we could potentially get a Zoom maybe, but they can't like actually leave, so.
What about a family member? It would behoove you to have a family member here, because it seems like it's unique that you're the applicant, right?
Yeah, no.
And that you have to represent their interest on this, and it really, you've done what you can do in theory here, you presented us what we asked you, but it's kinda on someone there to support that and answer these questions. It shouldn't be on you to answer that, so I know you're the applicant, but this is to their benefit. Someone from that household, who their caretaker, someone's helping this person out, someone can come here and help them out, if it's that important.
Yeah, they do have a caretaker.
I'm sure there's more than a caretaker, maybe there's a family member and a caretaker, or something that could be presented that
Yeah.
can answer these questions, like, okay, so you have medical needs and the pool is an option, but maybe everybody else is benefiting off that, and they said, what do they do during the winter? These are questions that do go towards the heart of this, so I mean, we've asked in many different ways
Yeah.
for it, and I'm not trying to file on,
No, it's fair.
alright?
But the only thing is, like, the utility company's never gonna give you a breakdown of like what.
It's not, you're not hearing me, right? This is, I think the crux of this is, the bills are high, okay. I don't need to know which appliance is making them high. Something is driving this, that you've tied to a particular condition, tied to the homeowner or someone in the home. Someone from that home should be here to advocate and answer these questions, otherwise it's gonna be this chasing the tail.
Yeah, I get you.
And it's not questions you can answer.
Okay.
So, I should, go,
Could I just ask one question?
yeah, Trina, can
I
I?
probably discussed maybe when I was playing hooky those few times, but the address is 2 Fairway Drive, but it says the service delivered at 12 Fairway Drive. What, I don't understand that.
Where do you see that?
And the bill, bottom of the bill says 2 Fairway
I-
Drive,
I
and that's
didn't
what
see
the,
that.
that's what the variance is, but up at the top it says service delivered to 12 Fairway Drive. I'm just curious.
See you, Neil.
Good night.
No,
No, that's a really very fair,
because the applicant is on 2 Fairway Drive, and then, and Orange, I would say Con Edison, but
Yeah.
Orange and Rockland says it's still doing 12 Fairway Drive. Is there a 12 Fairway Drive?
Yeah,
Finding out right now.
That,
I think,
the address is 2. Like that, the subject property here is 2.
That's on the application.
but
yeah.
what's 12?
It's 12 then.
What is 12?
That's the end of Fairway Drive, that's the cul-de-sac at the top of Fairway. Their property is the first one, I think on the left.
yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I've never noticed that.
Maybe,
But they're-
I'm asking.
I mean, they might be paying for the neighbors'
1, 2.
service.
Well, maybe, I don't know,
Or
maybe.
the- Yeah, who knows?
No, I just, you know, you see things like that, just, it probably, sometimes there's a lot, very reasonable
Is
reason, but
Morgano
kind of
the,
strange.
you don't have to, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking.
are they the homeowner?
Yeah. It's John. Well, that's his wife.
Well, that's an answer that they can get us.
Yeah.
I would suggest to set it down for public hearing on,
Can I just weigh in just a
yeah,
little bit?
absolutely, everybody can weigh in,
Yeah.
please, yeah. I have my head turned away
That's
from you,
fine.
Frank, sorry.
So there's two issues here. One is the front yard, right? It's a corner lot. The code prohibits front yard.
Yeah.
The other, I think that's a big one here that we're talking about. The other one, I asked for a letter, I haven't seen it yet, from the design professional, why you couldn't put them on the roof, some of these panels. I'm still gonna be asking for that. But with that in mind, maybe it could be a combination of both. Let's keep the front yard issue aside for now. Trying to get you to comply with that 2-acre piece, you need 1,200 square feet of panels, you're at 1,360. My thought process is, get to the 1,200, eliminate that variance and get some on the roof, if you need, if you establish this is what you need. But again, you still have the front yard concern.
I do, if I'm not mistaken, I do think we sent over a letter.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right, if
I
you,
might actually honestly have it.
if you could resend it, I'm just trying to eliminate some of these variables.
Yeah, the closer we can get it to compliance, the easier it is to consider if we have.
4, 5, 6. There's no 12.
I have a suggestion.
Nope, hold on, nope, not open for public comment right now.
Oh, sorry.
do have a letter from the engineer.
Yeah, I looked in the file, I didn't see it, I looked real quick right before the meeting, just to refresh my memory on this
Yeah.
item, but if you haven't, then
I
just,
remember it was asked at a previous meeting, I don't remember.
Well, we asked and it mentioned that there wasn't enough square footage on it alone
Do you want it?
in order to handle the power.
Sorry.
It wasn't, I think,
Divided.
yeah, I think they mentioned, I think there's sworn to mention something about it
Alright, so
not
this
being
letter-
as efficient by doing it that way.
yeah, this letter covers that piece of it, so, we're back to the square footage of the array then,
Yeah.
okay.
And just so I'm clear, this array would not cover all the usage of the home anyway.
It's, yeah, it's as,
So what-
like,
What's the KW difference between making it comply with the 1,200 square foot array? What are we losing?
I could actually do it pretty quickly, but do you want me to do it and I can tell you?
No, bring it to the public hearing.
Okay.
We wanna know what this is gonna look like if it does comply with the square footage.
How much they're losing, okay.
And how much they're losing, and, you know, whether that.
Bring it to the public hearing, but if you get the data before,
Yeah.
the earlier you get the data,
Yeah,
the
surely
more
send it
your
to us.
questions can be clarified rather than on the spot at the public hearing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cause if it's negligible, then there's no, we don't need to go through that
Yeah.
exercise. But if it's substantial, we can still consider it.
Actually, if I could just double back a little bit, if the letter could clarify, we're not asking for that whole array to go on the roof, just the difference to get you to 1,200. Maybe the design professional could just touch on the, what's the math there, 1360 minus 1,200, so 160 square feet. Can that go on the roof? Again, I'm just trying to eliminate the variance here.
Yeah, no, I got you.
We essentially have three variances, right? Front yard,
Front yard,
side yard setback, as well as the square footage, right?
yes,
Right, so theoretically, if you can get that array down to the acceptable size, that might eliminate the side yard setback even. Now we're down to one variance instead of three.
Is the side yard setback out of your guys' code? Is that correct?
What?
the way it's
I
written,
thought-
we didn't discuss side yard. But if you
Okay.
feel that we're missing something, I will give that up.
No, I thought I recalled that from before, that there were two, there was a front
I
and
think-
side
I think-
yard, because it's a corner lot.
I think that if one of the options for the arrays would have triggered that, I think there was, if they moved them, it would have triggered the side yard setback. There was,
Split it, yeah.
we asked them, I think that's where that comes from. I'm going, this is
No, I
six
have
months,
a-
so
I
5
have a
months.
vague recollection of that as well, now that
Yeah.
you're mentioning it, okay. So we're just down to two.
But that would be a big difference, I mean, if you get it down to the 1,200, which is in the realm of normal, you know, there's a reason that is the threshold, I don't know.
It's a lot of another size piece of property, right?
And it speaks towards, what did the applicant do to minimize the size of the variance? I
So
mean,
that's
that
the
stuff
other thing.
is very important.
We're obligated to give the minimum variance that we can to satisfy the
Yeah, it might not fit the algorithm of your company's business model of what's your threshold for residential, you know,
Yeah.
how many panels, so. But that, if we're asked to make an exception, then, you know.
No, I totally get that.
Okay.
So the difference of what he'd be losing if he did accommodate the correct setback?
If he reduced it down to 1,200, if he can't put the additional panels on the roof or somewhere else, then
Yeah,
what's lost if
Both,
we
okay.
make it conform to the maximum square footage for that array?
And Sam, I'm just gonna make a comment, if in the event that this is palatable for the board and you guys move on this, I think that a condition, generally we tie the condition to the land, right? You know, it doesn't, the variance isn't necessarily, it's specific to that property owner's ownership, and then if sold, it doesn't continue. This one might even be limited to something more unique than that, if it ultimately is presented that this is based on a condition of a person in the house or some, it's unique, I'll look into it, but it certainly,
Yeah,
I think
think
something.
about that, but that's good to consider, that would be.
Now, who's gonna own the array when it's constructed?
the homeowner,
The homeowner owns it.
correct. Well, they make
So-
payments until, yeah, it's paid off.
Right now, the homeowner's a trust,
No,
It's,
I think so.
oh, that's a switch to,
I might be wrong, I mean, I was
Okay,
just looking at the
that's,
parcel.
that was news to me, but that may be
What,
correct.
their house?
It's showing as owners, individuals, personal,
It is?
yeah.
So if they own it, then there would be an obligation, you can take you could almost do a bond for it to be taken down when it's, but I guess if whoever they sold the house to would be
I'd be
responsible.
ambitious too with the whole, the solar, I don't know.
No, it's just, it's a unique thing, I mean, it's something that should be considered if you get to that point of granting the variance, some condition
Yeah, yeah.
would likely, so I just wanna put it back in your head to think about that, but I'll look for stuff as well, but I know you're capable as well.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I've never tied it to anything other than the land, you know?
Right.
It doesn't run with the land, so to speak. Which naturally, I'm sure this home would be sold after.
Trying to
Condition
make
of
so
the
many laws
owners.
in here.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had one where the condition of the owners came factored into the variance. There's always-
Yeah, well, I mean, it just might be though, that home's likely to be sold following the lack of necessity of that situation. All right, I would suggest
Okay,
this
so,
point, motion and then,
all right, so are we looking at July first again? I mean, we're starting to.
well, I think at this point, I would.
Does this one not need?
We called them back in, right? And I'm gonna say this and, somewhat candid and I don't mean to be disrespectful. We called them back in, so it wasn't, they weren't banging down the door with a sense of urgency to get it in. We've got a pretty packed schedule. So I'd put this on the, 15th, right? That's the next one? July 15th.
July 15th.
I know it's far out, but we were already stacked over public hearings and, there's a limit to them, so.
Yeah.
And that will give you ample time to either collect, information to answer some of those questions or get those folks enough lead time to get here.
Okay.
As fair as I can be with that, I don't know what else to say.
No, that's fine.
Alright, so you wanna do, Tom, a motion?
We'll take a motion to set a public hearing for July 15th at 7:30 or soon thereafter. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
James, do we have a second?
Second.
Sam will second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank
You reach out if you got any questions.
I definitely,
Alright.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Just for the mailings again, just if you could reach out to Grace in our office,
Okay.
for the mailings, yeah.
So, I just wanna quickly look at, sorry, I should have this.
Thank you, I'm gonna-
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you, thank you.
Just what's ahead for the next couple of weeks here before we adjourn. Sorry,
No problem.
I'm not,
No. It's, around the 2 weeks. Actually, all right. So we should have the following, and you can correct me, Tom. The next 4 meetings are June 3rd,
Yep.
which right now is Everett Road. I don't intend to add anything onto that,
okay,
because that would bring, I think, everything can be pushed to the 17th. That requires me. I'll allow Remetta to handle that meeting, so the town applicants aren't.
And I apologize again for not
no,
being
no, there's
comfortable
no,
today.
no, don't apologize. Don't
That's,
apologize.
there's not a rush on it, the rush is to get it right, you know, not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, right now, nothing on 6-3 other than ever an adoption of minutes and the like. I will be available if there's any issue, but I think right now, that would be the way to do
Okay.
that. Right, the 17th, we have Gumwood.
Potentially Gumwood, right? I mean, they may,
Yeah, I wrote an email to the attorney right away, advised him of, to watch the video, be ready to address those questions, and know that if they're seeking another adjournment to earlier, the better. I will cap it at 1 week,
okay,
unless there's some outlier that I can't control. Then 7-1, you got Jessica Court in Gotham.
yep,
7-15, we've got Fairway. Those are all public hearings at this point. That's, every single one of them is in the public hearing stage.
but that's good, that starts to spread it out, we're not all
Does.
jammed up in 2 meetings.
So I say, this is only an hour and 20-minute meeting. It
Yeah.
looked, it was a lot on the agenda, but the 2 decisions, that makes it look longer.
Yeah, no, I understood,
But if Gumwood was here, we would it would have been too long, so we'll try, I think we're doing better.
We could potentially go to a vote after each one of those public
That's
hearings as
correct.
well, right?
That would probably be an expectation, certainly with Everett. If there's no new evidence presented that so significantly changes the pattern, yeah, they should be voted on.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
So if you guys have any clarifications you're looking for on law, on Everett, that goes to Frank and Remetta. If you don't have his email, just send it to Frank. And then the other ones, if you have any questions, it would be me and Frank.
Okay,
It relates to the town code.
Okay,
Cool?
excellent, thanks.
awesome, Rory.
Okay,
Alright.
so do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll second it.
Any more seconds?